All of us reach a point in time where we are depleted and need to somehow find a way to reignite the fire within. But how do we spark that flame? Welcome to Reignite Resilience, where we will venture into the heart of the human spirit. We'll discuss the art of reigniting our passion and strategies to stoke our enthusiasm. And now, here are your hosts, Natalie Davis and Pamela Cass.
But Ingo, you mentioned something that I think is such key is the evolving goals that individuals have. Talk to us a little bit more about that, because you're talking about it from the sense of setting goals for, the physical competition piece, right? I mean, even as extreme as teaching yourself to swim or be a competitive swimmer in a year's time frame, which seems like a huge undertaking for most people. But that can pop up in our personal lives, our relationships, our profession as well. Talk to us a little bit about evolving goals and what that looks like so that our listeners can start to pinpoint if they themselves are actually evolving their goals over time or if they're sitting stagnant on the same ones.
Yeah, I think for me, goals are still important, and they were for many years. Even today, I think a little bit different about them, and I use them in a different way. I mean, the other thing that happened when I crossed this finish line in Hawaii in 2018 was, at this moment, somehow I knew actually I can achieve anything, right? Because if this was possible, it was clear for me I can achieve everything. And I worked a lot with visualization and with manifestation of the goals, and I think that's something very powerful that works very good. The other thing is, I think you should really dare to have big goals. I think many people are maybe, they set a little goal and just to make sure they also achieve it. And I think I would rather set a really big goal that you really want to achieve, even if it's seems to be very far away and if it seems to be very unrealistic. But usually, I mean, if you set the goal and if you manifest that, you will find ways to achieve that. And I think that's very powerful. And the other thing you need to do is you need to separate the outcome or the achievement of the goal from the process to get there, right? So today I see the goals more like they're guiding me, they're like a lighthouse. But you also need to be flexible on the way to achieve that. I mean, it's don't stuck to the goal, and if you see maybe it changes in a different direction, so accept also that. But if you start to celebrating the process to the goal, and you then first of all you have much more opportunity to celebrate because you will get much further because you're not so focused on this goal anymore, right? So because this can also like hold you back from, because if you see maybe I will not achieve it, and then you get becoming all these blocks, these mental blocks. So yeah, but if you're focusing on the process and just doing the right things every day, so I think that's much more helpful.
Yeah, I like that. It's that just focusing on the process of getting there and celebrating those wins as you're going through those processes, and not as much focusing on that goal at the end there.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think it creates for more adventure.
Yeah.
Because we have no idea what other possibilities or routes there are that exist to get to that big goal. And if we get so fixated on that, we lose, I think you lose that sense of enjoyment about the entire journey to get there, to achieve the goal.
Yeah. And then starting with the vision of what that ultimately looks like too, I think is key.
Yes.
How do you help people kind of walk through, or is there a process you walk through for visualizing what that looks like, that goal, achieved goal?
Yeah, for which, I mean, so I developed my own coaching process. I call it the 3 steps, basically. I call them release, rediscover, rise. So the first step in the release phase, it's where we start to working on really finding your inner truth and everything, and really also release from this from all these beliefs that we had from the past, right, that are eventually holding us back. And then in the second phase, in the rediscover phase, then we're really defining this vision and this purpose. This is the element that's really like pulling you in one direction. And when you have these 2 points, right, you have the one that's really your inner truth that's coming from yourself. That's your whatever your inner motivation or your inner drive, your inner energy that can bring you somewhere. And you have this, let's call it this lighthouse goal that you can shoot for. Then we go into the rise phase, and in the rise phase, we're then actually making the game plan where we set specific goals for 1 year or 2 year or 3 year timeframes. I think the problem is many people are today very good in the rise phase, right? They're good in setting goals and say, okay, next year I want to be a millionaire, or I want to run a marathon, I want to lose 10 pounds or whatever. But they're missing somehow the first 2 phases that are really like this alignment with why do I actually want this, what I want, right? These questions. And for goal manifestation, I did for many years, also for this Ironman and for my professional careers, I used the method that I really like. I call it the 3x3 matrix. So every morning I'm writing down my 3 most important goals. Could be a long-term goal or whatever, your 1 year goal or longer-term goals. And you write them down 3 times. Just when you stand up, you write them down. So you basically write 9 sentences. So 3 times each goal 3 times.
Very cool.
And based on that, you're setting yourself really in this. You're starting the day really with what's important for you, and you're setting the day for walking in the right direction.
I love that. And so kind of the 3 R's, so the release, rediscover, rise. And it goes to what you said a little bit earlier, where you figuring out what success means to you. Because, if you're setting goals, but it's not really what success means to you, it's something that you've seen on social media, it's something society has told you, your family has told you, figuring out what that really truly means to you.
I think that's the main key to all of that, because otherwise it's not sustainable. I mean, we all can achieve a goal in 1 year, and we all can be somehow successful in a career, or maybe lose 10 kilos, or maybe run a marathon. But if we don't really know why we're doing it, and if we don't really enjoy the path, so then it's can lead to burnout, or in the worst case, we just don't enjoy it.
Yeah. Or we do it and then that's it. It was like we achieved the goal and then we go right back to where we were before, because we're like, which I think a lot of us do. We set that goal. Me, run a half marathon. I train for an entire year. I do it and then I'm like, okay, I'm done running. Never run again. So it's like,
many people want to run marathon. They don't even like running, right?
I know. And that was me. I was like, why did I do this? And I did it. And then I'm like, well, okay, I'm done with that. So,
I mean, I love running. I love running here in the fields. I have 2 dogs now, and running with them in the fields. Running, and I think this long distance endurance stuff, for me, it's also kind of meditation, right? Because they're really with yourself, with your body, with nature.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and that model that you've created, Ingo, the release, rediscover, rise, I am envisioning that the 3 of those are constant, right? It's not that you do the 3, you get to the end and you've arrived. You're constantly looking at releasing and rediscovering, because you have now unlocked a new version of yourself once you hit the goal, or you come close to the goal, or even just along the journey, along the way, the person that's showing up in that space now has new goals, new vision, probably greater understanding of what it takes to fulfill their purpose in life.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think like our personal growth or development, and also our personal transformation, it's a lifelong journey, right? I mean, we shouldn't look now for building our wealth now or whatever, and building our house and trying to sit there for the next 20, 30 years till the end of our lives and doing nothing anymore. It's not working like that, right? Life is a constant transformation. And I think what also many people don't get is whether you choose to work actively on yourself or you choose to not do it, anyway, you will change. I mean, there's nothing remains unchanged, right? And yeah, so you just have the choice if you do this, if you let the change happen to you, and if you let the things happen to you, and you just like you're proactive or reactive, sorry, you're reactive, or if you want to actively form or create your destiny in your life, and that's the choices you have. And whether you make a decision to change something or not, the decision will be made for you if you don't do it.
Yeah, that's huge. Ingo, are you able to share maybe some of the questions that you ask your clients when you're taking them through these 3 phases of release, rediscover, rise? What are some things that our listeners can start to process on their own, or questions that you would pose to them if they are, realizing that they're wanting something greater, something more? Maybe something more is the better word.
Yeah, so I usually start with 2 exercises when we're starting, and they're based in this release phase. And the first thing is I'm asking them basically I think 4 or 5 questions. And the interesting thing is I'm just repeating the same question, right? So I'm asking them, what do you want? Okay, and then they start to sing. And then
It's the hardest
after a
question you
while,
could
they
have
say a
asked me
few
a few
things. They
years
say, yeah, I
ago.
want whatever,
Yes.
money and a good job and whatever they want. And then you ask again, so, and what do you want? And you continue a little bit. And then after a while, you change it a little bit. And then you ask, okay, so what do you really want? And it starts this thinking process, right? And then after a while, I'm asking, so what's the next question? I think, what are you afraid of? Okay, and then you ask a few questions like, what is holding you back? And from there you start. This is usually the first session. It's very powerful because people start really, really to think usually if they, yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes time. Not everybody, that's why usually this coaching process, I mean, it's also a relationship of trust, right? So usually, some people need a little bit longer to open, but once they open, it's usually becoming very powerful. And the second exercise I do usually is working on values, and therefore, I mean, you know that there are different areas of life. I have my own model of that, but you have or different areas of life. Like there's the area of your relationships, your network, your financial success, your physical environment, your whatever. There are like 6 or 7 areas of life, and I start with the people. I ask them to rate themselves in each area. So, for example, your relationship with money, and they give themselves whatever they give them on a scale of 1 to 10, and they give maybe a 5 or a 7, and then we start from there, and then you analyze it. So, why do you give yourself a 7? So, what would you need to do to get to an 8? So, and then you see usually how there's also balance, right? I mean, for some people, they could be very good in their job, but maybe they have some problems in their relationships or in other areas of life or their health.
Yeah.
So, and if you do this for each area of life, you usually see where there are gaps and where you should improve.
Those are powerful tips. And I think that those are things then that individuals can do just by journaling and even doing some visualization. But I think journaling would be a little bit more powerful in anchoring those thoughts, especially as you're capturing, like, what do you want? And I laugh when you ask that question, because a few years ago, if you'd asked me, what do I want? It was one of the most paralyzing questions that you could ask me, followed by, what do you do for fun? Those are the 2 questions that I never wanted to answer. I've become more clear in those areas. And so, but it's nice to dig deeper, like continue asking the question, what do you want, right? And ask it again. No, what do you really want? Like digging deeper, because it's more than the house, the car, the money, the career, the significant other, right? It's not the partner and the pets and the things. It's never the things.
No.
I'm assuming. I don't do this work, but I'm assuming it's never the things, based off of my own personal journey.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some people believe things make them more happy. That's possible, but usually if you buy enough things, you will figure out that they actually don't make you more happy.
That's not the things.
And if you one example or one exercise I also like to do is, and this can do anybody at home also, is just imagine what happens if you're at the end of your life, and you're on your deathbed, it's your last day, and if you look back on your life, and then what will you see? I mean, will you be proud on your life? Is that what you missed? And in this situation, usually nobody will say, "Oh, I wish I would had made more money," or "I wish I would have a better car," or "I wish I would watched more Netflix movies." So they're usually other things, and these are then actually the important things.
Yeah, that's powerful. That exercise, to our listeners, that's super powerful. If you've never taken yourself through that, I would recommend that you do so. But Ingo, I would like to know if our listeners would like to get a hold of you, or if they're curious about working with you, how do they go about doing so?
Yeah, I think the best way where they can find me is my YouTube channel. It's called YouTube at The Small Reset. And there I also do interviews. I have a podcast format, but I also do like individual videos where I talk about these things, about mindset development, about how to free yourself, or how to live life on your terms.
Yeah.
This is a good stop where you can learn a lot. If you're more interested in the coaching approach, you can look on my website. It's also called thesmallreset.org. They will find more infos on my coaching approach, on the Release, Rediscover, Rise process. And also you can book their free half an hour consultation discovery call. Because I think coaching is always, I mean, there need to be a trust, right? There need to be the right chemistry between, so it's a relationship. So you always need to figure out first if there's a fit, and that's why usually the first 1 or 2 calls are for free, and that's the best places to look for me.
Exciting. That's great. The Small Reset. So YouTube, and then thesmallreset.org is your website. Ingo, do you have any words of advice, tips, tools, models that you'd like to share with our listeners that we haven't discussed?
Yeah, I think the only thing, or what was also a big change for me, was if you're looking for anything, start within yourself and go back and find this connection with yourself. And therefore, it's good to really disconnect, because I think today we're living in a world where we just have too much information, right? And I think you don't have to read, I don't know how many you read, but you don't have to read another personal development book or watch another guru on YouTube. It's more like, I think, as I said, the truth is within ourselves, and that's where we should start seeking. It doesn't, I mean, usually all this advice books, once you read one, they're basically giving all the same advice, right? But you need to find your own way, and there's no your way. You need to first build it, and then you can walk it, right? Or you need to build it while you walk it. So it's not that you can follow anybody's redefined path. So just find your own way, and therefore, I really encourage people to disconnect and to reconnect with themselves. I think that's very powerful.
This is such a great time of year to do this, when you're thinking about setting those goals for 2025, is to just disconnect and ask yourself those questions. What is it that I want? And to some of us, it's hard to answer that question, especially if you've just been kind of living this life that you think has been expected of you. And so I love it. Fabulous. Thank you. I love that.
Well, and you set a spark for me, and just asking that question, or saying that you don't need to read another self-help book, because that's sort of a thing that I've set for myself the last couple of years, is that I have a goal of reading at least 1 book per month, which is not a ton. I have friends that I think read 4 books per month, or some that read 4 books per week. But there's no action that ever follows that, making that a me statement. Yes. I read those. I end the year with reading 12 new books, and the action that I've taken is the intentional action that I've taken at the end of that is slim to none, none at all, right? In terms of what I want to do. So what is the actual goal that I'm striving for? Is it to read 12 books? That's not going to change my life. If it's to take action based off of what I'm learning, I think that's going to change my perspective, my
Absolutely.
insight.
And I think that's the missing part, right? I don't misunderstand me. I'm not against reading books. I
Yeah,
think
agreed. Yes,
I read
yes.
a lot of books, and it's a great thing. But yeah, I think as you're doing, right? Most people read the books, including myself, right? And then you put it aside, and 3 weeks later, you don't remember anything about the book, even if it was a great book. So yeah, maybe read less books and start to embody what they're writing in the book and really work on that. I think that's much more powerful. You said it absolutely correctly.
I love that.
Fabulous.
That is fabulous.
Great advice. Yeah.
Ingo, what's next for you? What's on the horizon?
For me, next, so there are a few exciting things. So we're building actually a house here. We bought a land here, a little bit bigger land, where we also want to grow some stuff and have our own food and some chicken and stuff. So we're building that. And I'm just planning right now for Christmas. I'm going with my 2 sons. We're going to Germany and to the Alps for skiing. We do a skiing vacation, and I also visit my family. So I want to visit my grandmother. She is 96 years old. So I need to see her. I don't know how many chances I will have to see her, but yeah, that's the plan for the next 2 months. And
I love that.
And let's see.
That's exciting.
What life brings us.
Exactly.
Is this your first time back to Germany since you've been in Mexico?
No, I was one time before, but my mother was here twice. My father was here once.
Okay, so they've come to visit. Nice.
Yeah.
Great. Well,
Love that.
fabulous.
Well, enjoy the what's next. And I have to say that's probably the most beautiful answer when I hear what's next. Usually we ask that question of what's next, and it's, the next offering, the next book, it's something career focused. And we can feel your sense of priority that you place on the things that are important to you. So enjoy your time with your grandmother. And you're exactly right. That's, and great grandmother for your kids. How special is that for them to have that relationship?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Incredible.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Ingo, it has been an absolute pleasure and a joy to have you on the show today. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your insight and your work that you're doing as well. I know that what you're doing is going to continue to ripple on not just through the lives of the individuals that you're working with, but for generations after. So thank you for investing and actually figuring out your purpose and living in alignment with it. So carrying that knowledge and that fruit to us and sharing that with our listeners. We will make sure that we put all of your contact information in our show notes as well. Do you have any final words that you'd like to leave with our listeners?
No, I'm very good. I would like to thank you also. I think it was a great conversation. You're doing a great job, you two guys. So I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Same here.
Yeah.
Well, we will leave all of the contact information for Ingo in the show notes. And as usual, if you all are looking for more information with what's happening in the world of Reignite Resilience, head on over to reigniteresilience.com. And if you have not already done so, subscribe to our weekly Think Letter, where you will get additional insight about our episodes and tips and practices for you to apply to your life as we are continuing to light the fire within. Until next time, we'll see you all soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today on the Reignite Resilience podcast. We hope you had some aha moments and learned a few new real-life ideas to fuel the flames of passion. Please subscribe on your favorite streaming platform, like or download your favorite episodes, and of course, share with your friends and family. We look forward to seeing you again next time on Reignite Resilience.